Welcome to the PODCALV. Last time I was having this conversation with you guys about how having conversations helped me to actually find my vibe, right? And then this is actually a very interesting question about the people always ask me, and is how you can actually, apart from finding your vibe, you can find your purpose and actually live out of your talent, create a nice business. I have two things in my life that really marked me, and I can give an answer that is going to connect these two things, and everything started with my grandma. When she was 9 years old, like many people in Colombia, unfortunately she had to leave her home by force because of the war situation that we used to have. And she and her siblings and her parents had to leave the place because if they stayed, they would be killed. The whole thing around it is that they arrived to a place 9 hours away of the place where they were living. 9 hours away by car in today's time. They had to walk there. Imagine how far was this place. They had to arrive to this place, and they didn't have where to stay, of course. So what they did was to make this arrangement with a guy who was the owner of the farm. In that farm, they had plantain or bananas. They had rice. They had cows. It was a huge land, but still they didn't have how to earn money because this agreement was only to stay. So my grandma and her siblings, her parents, decided to go to a place that's called El Cruce. El Cruce means the intersection. So it's a place that is an intersection of avenues that takes you to the coast of the country or to another cities of the country or to the interior of the country in Colombia. And they started selling fried pork in the street. So they will say, imagine my grandma was 9 years old. So they will say with her and all her siblings, her parents, they would sell fried pork every day. And because they were working most of the day, they would only have one meal, and that meal was rice with cheese and banana, and rice that they will form, cheese that will come from the cows that they will take care of. They will not eat the meat, of course, because they will take care of the cows, and then the bananas that will come from the tree, right? When my grandma was 12 years old, she quit to the whole job that she had, and she ended up going to buy a dozen of underwear before the catalogs 50 years ago. Just picture this, before the catalogs, they used to sell underwear door by door, right? It was not a thing that was a reason of pride or anything. For people will not go to shops like Victoria's Secret or Calvin Klein to get anything. It was not a pride, it was more something that you would keep just to take care of your intimate parts. So she will start selling door by door underwear, and eventually she will get more things, more products and so on. She will keep selling them door by door. Then she will start selling things in a small shop that she created. Then she created a huge shop that was the biggest distributor in the town where she was living. And when she was 24 years old, she had the biggest shop in the town where she was staying. And she had a first marriage. My mom and my own uncle, they were the first siblings, the first children of my grandma. And at 24 years old, my grandma was already a successful woman. Now imagine that for that time, now it's 40 something years ago. My grandma is a successful woman having a business, black woman, in a small town. You know what happened? The guys of the town one day were drunk and they burned out the business of my grandma. They burned out they put a lot of things inside, they just burned it. They evicted my grandma from the town, and my grandma had to go again, had to leave the town with her children, and her husband left my grandma. So it was a whole story, right? Many people say that Colombian life is like a telenovela. Yes, in fact, our lives are literally sometimes are funny, sometimes are very dramatic. We had for a long time a whole telenovela going on that was because of the war and because of all the hate that will stay in the country against women, against black people, against people who look different or who were not from the city, right? This is why the guerrillas started, and this is why so much inequality led to many people who were displaced from their town, together with the violence. My grandma arrives to another town. Being in another town where she arrived, my grandma starts again selling things door by door. Again, selling things door by door, start from zero and so on and so on. She meets husband, and she starts basically like selling not only underwear but also like construction materials. It was very funny because she started like selling bricks and selling like tools and selling whatever she finds. The little money she had, like she just bought a lot of things. She ended up having the biggest shop, again like the biggest software hardware store and the biggest like distributor of clothing and so on in town. And just one day again, like my grandma arrives to the place and the landlord evicted my grandma because he said that non-married women couldn't like own a business, and she was not married with the one who I call my grandpa, who she married like after my actual grandpa like left her, and she had to leave again the town. Now my grandma in this occasion was poor because the business was just locked down. My grandma couldn't like leave or take her belongings or her money or anything or so on. She ran away to another town that is in the border between Colombia and Venezuela. And being there, my grandma, who now has four children, who is married again, didn't know what to do. So a girl who was 9 years old and couldn't go to school, back in that time, it was not common that women would attend to school, so she couldn't go to school. She couldn't like have her own things. She didn't know how to make math operations, to read, to do anything else. She taught herself. There was no YouTube, so now imagine there is no YouTube for this whole thing. She learned herself how to do all these things, and she learned herself how to cut clothes. Because then what she found out is that the clothes in the border were like the things that were like more like on sale, like all the things that were coming, that were the new fashion and new clothes and so on. And she thought that it was a business opportunity. So she bought a roll of fabric and she started trying to cut. So she will knit and she will cut on the floor everything that she will do, and she will make like she will buy a skirt, she will make the skirt, she will like examine the skirt and she will make the skirt on the floor. She will manufacture everything and so on. She will like just try to sell it on bulk. Well, long story short, my grandma ended up being a super cool businesswoman. But more than that, after all this period of time, we all grew up. My mother, my aunties, and all of us who grew up thanks to my grandma's efforts. All of us who learned from her learned like two things that are very important. First of all, nothing can stop a strong woman. Nothing. And secondly, you don't need to know everything to do business. Right? And that's a whole myth that we have. We have in the world a lot of business schools, a lot of places that probably are cool to learn to do, to so on and so on. So then we get lost and we get even intimidated by people who study in best universities or who are born in countries with more opportunities and who are doing like more or better or whatever thing. And or people who are like men, like in a world that is designed for men, because it's true that many women are doing the same job that a man is doing. They're not paid the same. That's unfair. That's horrible. But we're intimidated for all these things, and yet we don't realize that all these people that are studying in all these fancy universities are people who are studying to be employees. People who have the ideas, they don't need to study to have ideas. The one who is really creative, they don't need to study to get creativity. There's not something you can do about being more innovative. That's something that you are born with. And guess what? Our continents, Africa and Latin America, are the places where most of creativity have come from, right? Like from here, we have geometry, we have paper, you have astrology, we have astronomy, we have whatever you think, even the coffee that we drink every day in houses. But yet we don't realize how important is that. So if you ask me, what's like the main thing that you can do to find your purpose, is this thing, like know your origins. Remember that whole thing that I told you about the banana with cheese and with rice? Well, as a tradition in my home, every Wednesday we eat rice with cheese and banana. It doesn't matter where you are, it doesn't matter who you are. The most important thing is to keep your traditions intact and to keep your origins there, remembering who you are, where you come from, and why you need to do what you do. Every day in our lives, even here in Africa, even here in Kenya, when I'm in Dubai, when I'm in Turkey, every Wednesday I try to eat rice with cheese and banana. That's what reminds me where everything is coming from. Like even I get like goosebumps because that's so powerful. To know that we have a privilege, to be aware of that privilege and to use that platform to actually impact people. We don't have a problem by having privilege. Like having a privilege is not a problem at all. What's the problem is not to use that privilege to do something about it, to do something about things that matter. The best way to find the purpose is that. Being aware of that thing that's given to us, being aware of that talent that we can use, and being aware of that thing that really needs to be solved. Probably what we need to solve is not the hunger, or what we need to solve is not the problems of people. Probably what we need to solve is our own way to actually bring value to the lives of people, and that's different. Right? We focus so much in the outside that we never realize that at the end of the day, it's very important for us to fill ourselves with things that really matter, and to find our own way to use our own talents and our own platforms to bring things to people. And the second thing about business goes in the same way. If you want to do business, never forget that the first rule is to love. And you will say, oh, that's a very corny thing and that's very fluffy. No, it's not corny and it's not fluffy. Look at what you have around you. Look the glass where you drink water, look the space where you live, and the clothes that you're wearing. Everything is made of love. Love for what? Probably not love for you, but probably the owner of that fabric, or that manufacturing company wants something better for his family, or for her family. Probably the owner of that building wanted a place to live. He ended up having a development company. Probably the person who is doing whatever you admire had a lot of love for himself, for herself. Love is what can build anything in life. So if you want to do business and to be successful, love. Love what you do, love the people that are around you, love whoever you are. That's the only thing that can really take you to the next level. Because as long as you love, you are going to be committed to be better, to do better, and to bring a better way. And well, in the next conversation, probably we are going to explore like the different ways of how we love people, and the different ways how we can like be loved. But for now, this is my advice.